Hello, everyone. It's Thursday at 5 p.m., and you're on the Brett and Larry podcast show on IQ Podcasts. We're happy to be with you tonight. We got, when we started a podcast, right, Brett, we didn't want to have like real heavy subjects, but sometimes you got to do it. So we've been doing our sewage thing, and tonight we got another kind of heavy subject, but we're already getting compliments from people that they're happy we're going to tackle this. So our guests tonight are Pastor Eric Smith and his wife, Karen Smith, and tell the people what we're going to talk about.
So you're right. We don't like to tackle issues that are very dark, but unfortunately, there's a lot of that going around. And I think with the film that we worked on, they were the executive producers, of course. And thank you for your support.
Yes,
because it really added a lot more to the film.
Oh, good. It was our pleasure.
I think it was all the right reason. Somebody's like the other day said, you did it. It came up to me. You did a really good job on the film. I said, stop. I said, first of all, the reason that film worked was because we had a phenomenal team.
Yeah, we did.
Everybody had something they brought to the table, and it made it what it was. So it was a team effort to make that film.
Yeah, and Pastor Eric and Karen really
Right,
helped us
huge.
a lot. We appreciate it.
So I think because of that film, we'll segue into this subject. I think what happened was we found that, you're very trustworthy. In Coronado, everybody trusts you. Nobody knows who I am. They do now. Because when they see me, they're like, oh, you're the big dump. And I'm like, thanks. That's a true story. And everybody, of course, laughs. But we've developed no nonsense trust within our own community, and I think even abroad, with topics that I think that we've dove into. So one of these topics, of course, and we're going to talk more about this in your experience, is about suicide and the suicide rate that's happening on the bridge in Coronado.
Yep, that's what we're going to tackle tonight, folks.
Tough stuff.
So why don't we start with Eric or Karen and tell our audience listeners what happened 8 days ago on a Wednesday night, Ash Wednesday and Valentine's Day. Tell them.
Okay. Well, I think I'll tackle this for you. So we were on our way to our Ash Wednesday service with our faith community here in Coronado. Eric and I live in La Mesa, and so we were coming over the bridge. The car in front of us, a little sporty thing, began to slow and then eventually stopped. Directly in front of us, a young man got out. He had put on his flashers. He moved to the front of his car. We realized, oh, maybe he's having some car problems. And instead of lifting his hood, he looked over the side, put his foot on, and jumped. It all took about 6 seconds.
Wow.
It was horrifying. Horrifying.
We didn't believe what we were seeing.
No. And so we managed to go around. Of course, I was a mess. And
you will be for the rest of your life.
yes. Yeah, my child psychologist daughter is insisting that I speak with someone because these things do stay with you. You know, it's very, very difficult. I mean, I do replay the film, that sort of thing. But ultimately what happened was we managed to get over the bridge and pull off. And Eric contacted the police, and we gave them as much description and everything that had gone on as we could. And then thankfully, actually, it was a blessing that we were headed to be with our faith community, because we needed that. We needed that in that moment. And certainly the concept of the Ash Wednesday service, the imposition of ashes, took on a deeply profound meaning that evening.
It so stunning. It doesn't begin to describe it, but I guess what impacted me so much was the sense of this of a human being, of the spirit of a human being who was in such pain. Obviously, to me, that in such pain to take his own life is it's like the universe got rocked. I don't know to be a witness to that. I know there are terrible things that happen in the world all around all the time, but to be right there, I mean, we were right behind, we were feet away from him, and then to watch this and then to realize what had just taken place, and let that allow that impact to hit. It's like we watched Oppenheimer not too long ago, and they talked about the residual waves that came in after the bomb went off. It's like that. It was incredible.
It's like a soldier in war, really. You're like in war there for
Well, yeah,
PTSD, I
PTSD.
think,
Yeah,
which is-
PTSD.
So here's the thing. Knowing both of you, and I believe that things don't happen by accident. They don't happen to you. They happen for you. As sad as that situation is, you are the two individuals that, and you already know what I'm probably going to say.
Mhm.
You want to finish what I'm saying?
Well, they got everybody we know, all our friends, all the people at the Coronado Community Church, now to focus on this subject. Eric and Karen have statistics, which maybe you'll go over a little bit.
Sure.
People.
Sure.
And so
So that's part.
right,
That,
they're coming to they're making the subject go.
that's part of it. And I'm sorry that if I am always so aggressive when I go after things or see things, because I don't mean to be that way. But you guys have also taught me to get more involved with my feelings when, like with the sewage, and you and I talked about it. We didn't want to be those. We didn't want to make that our thing.
Absolutely.
But you said, well, maybe you have to be.
It seemed to have presented itself, put itself in your path at that time, and so there you go.
So I don't think that this is an accident either. I think if two people had an impact on getting the message out and really helping solidify why it isn't happening, why it's going to take till 2027, I think, when we're averaging, I heard, anywhere from 2 to 3 jumpers a week.
That's what we've been told. I just had to go out and collect information as quickly as I could. That was sort of my way of processing things there. And I found out that suicide rate has gone up 36% in the last 15 years. Well, that's a huge number of people. There is a suicide taking place in this country every 11 minutes.
Wow.
Every 11 minutes.
Wow.
And the thing with our bridge, the thing with the San Diego Coronado Bridge is it's too easy. If somebody's got they're in a difficult time in life, and all of us have difficult times in life when we just aren't sure which way is up, how things are going. Well, I was listening to one researcher talk about suicide prevention. He said there are those people among us who have a leaning just by our genetics or by who we are, the way that we're made, our chemistry. We would lean more easily toward being affected by big events in our lives. And when one of those big events comes along, like you lose a job or your economic force changes, or your breakup with your wife or with your honey, and it's a final kind of thing, all of those kinds of things can push somebody to a point where they're in so much mental pain that they don't think they don't think there's any way to get out of that pain. And so, off they go. Well, the Coronado Bridge is too easy. If anything,
and you witnessed that. It was easy as a step from the ground and stepping over.
Step over the edge, and he's gone, just like that. Just like that.
So the people who try to talk the people down, which sometimes happen, it didn't happen in this incident. What do you think they say to the people? What would you guess?
Wait, stop.
No, I mean, but other stuff, like think of your parents, think of your friends,
children.
What would they say?
Yeah. I really think it's situational. I would love to tell you there's a program for this, but I think you just start talking and get their attention, and whatever it takes here, to be engaged in conversation, and then say, why are you here? What can I do? I care about you. We may not have met before, but I care about you. I don't want you to do this. Anything that you can do.
This is actually something that I thought about quite a bit since witnessing this, and because the agony for both of us, I'm sure, being right there, that close, that there was absolutely no time. There was no time to even open the door.
You weren't prepared.
There was not at all. And since then, I keep thinking, had there been time, if only if only feeling that you have, had there been time, what would I have said to this young man? And the only thing that I could come up with as soon as I would have opened that door would have been, you are loved. Don't do this. Right. You are loved. I love you. Don't do this.
Well, Pastor Eric said that next time he sees it, if it happens, ever happen again, immediately he's going to jump out of the car. He's going to say, "No, there's no car," and he's jumping. Right?
Well,
You said that?
I told that's for me. That was for the congregation. That's for all of you who are listening right now. If you see a car stop on the bridge, get out there right away. Don't assume that they are not jumping off the bridge until they convince you they're not jumping off the bridge.
Yeah.
Because there's just not time. Just go do that.
So let's look at one thing about what you're saying. If somebody is that desperate to do something like that, what's going to stop them if they're stopped that time from finding another way of doing it again?
Well, what I think is that we're constantly in change. We're constantly changing. Our thoughts go through our mind. We're not in stasis. We're in constant movement. Everything's moving all the time. What you think right in this moment is not what you're going to be thinking 5 minutes from now.
Exactly.
And what somebody thinks when they're standing on the bridge that they're going to go off, give them 30 minutes and they're going to be thinking something different than what they're thinking right in then. Doesn't mean if somebody really decides to do themselves in and can't let go of that idea, there's really not much that can be done to stop them. However, I think, I don't know how many, I don't know what the statistics on that are, but I'm certain that not everybody, it becomes a moment of opportunity. I'm on this bridge here. It's easy to do this. I can go there, do this. It's simple. I know there's no mess afterward for people. I mean, all the crazy kind of thinking. You can, if you take away the easy part of this, it slows everything down, and people tend to start thinking differently with more time.
I would like to share that a woman actually reached out to me because you guys all know Wayne Strickland, who's here in Coronado and has in years past done this bridge memorial service, which he, by the way, is going to be doing again in June 9th. To honor or to remember these souls who,
Where did he do it at?
Under the bridge or near the bridge.
Highlands Park.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
Highlands Park.
Yeah. So there was
I want to go to that.
so I was commenting on that, on his page and so forth. And we were in conversation, and then a woman reached out to me and asked if she could direct message me. And she said, because I was a friend of his, and she was from LA. And I said, of course you can. So she wrote to me, and I got to tell you, boy, this was difficult, because her thing was, this has been bugging me. Can you please tell me, if possible, did he look like he'd been crying? Was he angry, or was he just determined? What was his demeanor? And so I had to think about that. And I thought, I don't,
Maybe
I don't want to
You were
say
close enough to see if he was crying?
Well,
Pretty close.
we were,
Yeah,
yes,
okay.
we were close,
Oh.
but he had sunglasses on.
Mm.
And so I had to say, well, unfortunately, I'm sorry to say, there was no time. He took no time. He was very decisive. And as to his demeanor, I can't tell you because he had sunglasses on. But she's told me that this guy is a young guy, very, she's called him a bit naive, but a really sweet soul, right?
Mhm.
And that this is so totally out of the ordinary.
she knew him.
Anything
She
he
knew
would do.
him.
Yeah. They were good friends. And but she also shared that he does have, or did have, an issue with depression,
Mhm.
and that his medication had been changed 2 days before this.
Wow.
Now, he drove down here from LA.
Really? To do it on the Coronado Bridge?
I don't know if that was his purpose, but it kind of seems that way. His family is actually, Eric was able to, I'll let you address that.
No, I talked with his brother-in-law
Yeah.
because I don't think his sister was able to have the conversation, but they're in Virginia. And,
They're back east,
and we connected, we're able to talk. Well, I think it would be all right for us to mention his first name. We could do that. His name is Keith.
Okay.
Yeah. And talked to Keith's brother-in-law, who relayed it all. And and then Karen talked to the friend, and, it just, I feel this bond with this person.
Yeah, right.
And,
Mhm.
and
So 8 days ago, you didn't know the guy
Right.
at all, and now you're bonding.
Right.
oh,
Yeah, interesting.
So what do you think out of this tragedy? What can come out of it in some way? Because both the two of you are very good at finding ways to solve or at least try to combat issues. Is there something you want to do more with this, or do you want
Well,
to leave it alone?
I tell you, the main thing right now is there needs to be the preventative net or whatever it is they're going to put on the bridge.
Okay.
Yesterday is too long.
Okay.
I mean, what's a human life worth?
Right.
Right.
And how many more, if we wait till 2027 and there's an average of 2 to 3 a week, how many lives is that, you think?
Well, who was it said that maybe you told me this, honey, but that there were an average of 400 deaths off that bridge every year. And the thing is, I shared this with some friends of mine, right? After this happened, I was with some friends and we were talking about it, and they said, well, you said that, but I looked in the paper, I didn't see anything. And I said, you won't.
No, you don't.
You won't see anything. They don't advertise it. They don't. And so these people who are in pain and who are suffering, who make this momentary bad choice, they are basically forgotten just like that. And they're not, their names are not mentioned. They're not, there's
Wayne
no,
Strickland's not forgetting them.
no, thank goodness. No,
That's very
not at
good,
all.
Wayne, yeah.
But
Wayne's World.
part of the problem is this is one of those things we don't talk about.
Right.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Just
very
a-
comfortable for a lot of people.
It is, but the only way to get comfortable with it, which we don't want to get, I don't mean too comfortable, but to be able to have the conversation is to have conversations about it, like we're doing right now. It's hard to find the words to say, here's what I think, here's what I feel about this, and then to imagine yourself. I want to know, have you ever had suicidal thoughts? I'm not talking about a victim. I'm just talking about anybody. I want to know about people in the congregation, about people around town that I meet. Have you ever had suicidal thoughts? Well, some people have. I think everybody probably has to a little bit, but some people have had big thoughts about it, and others have thought, "Oh, that's really not something that I would do." But they thought about it.
I don't think I ever did.
Yeah,
I mean, I've had low
did.
points, but not like suicidal thinking. I don't.
So I'm humbled to talk, and I've talked to you about this. I tried to kill myself at one time. I tried to. I was in my mid-20s, and so I understand a little bit about. Luckily, the bullet didn't come out of the gun.
Oh, wow.
I heard the click, and the bullet never came out.
Whoa!
I was ready to go. And
Uh-huh.
so there's an area where when you're so in such a dark area, and there was no drugs involved. It was after watching a family member, my grandfather slowly pass away, and we were taking care of him. And then I went into this really deep depression because I had never gone through something like that, and I really loved him. And then when he left, and I saw people fighting over his things before he was even buried, I just went into a really dark area, and I didn't know any way out. So I have a little bit of an idea, and I lived on the streets for about a year.
Yes.
So I have a little bit of an idea. I'm not but I can feel why it would be hard for some people to say, I can't do this anymore.
Mm-hmm.
This happened before you met Sarah, right?
I was only 25.
Okay, Sarah, lucky you're here. This is our producer, Sarah, the greatest in the world, Brett's wife.
So
You saved his life.
I don't
Thank
feel, no, she did. There's no question she hasn't. She saved me many other times with other things, but that's another story, other subjects. But
Another podcast.
right.
Yes.
But it's not something I'm proud of to admit, but I don't think that was an accident either. And I think that it gave me insight to be able to help other people. So if there's a way we can utilize what we're talking about today to reach out and figure out whether it's getting the netting completed faster than 2027, which I don't know what the answer is to that. But you know what's nice about that? We were never, ever looking to be the ones to give the answers. We always wanted to be the catalyst in putting people together to help through a think tank type environment where all these great minds, and we have great minds in Coronado,
Yes.
to come together and say, okay, well, and maybe we'll hear something we haven't thought about. But honestly, I really believe that there needs to be a faster process. And I don't know what that means.
I heard something last night that I never thought about. Let's throw it out a second. We're almost done, but another few minutes. So barriers. So I told the person that, why would they spend money for barriers when people have said the guy was a lost soul, he would have did it somewhere else, that kind of stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So you know what the person told me? It's not just for the victim. is for all the cars of inconvenience for hours and hours. It's like if there was a problem with some kind of security, they can't get through. If there's problems
Sure.
happening with fires or all kinds of different, and I never thought it. I go, what? So it's not just money spent for the victims; it's for like the whole.
The good of the whole.
Yeah, no,
Interesting.
So
So
I
that
have-
was a good point. I
I
never
have-
thought of that.
I
And when we came back over the bridge 2.5 hours later, the police cars were still there
Yeah,
and
I
things
never
were
thought
still
of that.
backed up.
So I have an idea that just came to me, and it sounds kind of crazy, but it just came to me. There should be some type of barrier or an individual or individuals in a center in some type of small unit where they're sitting, where they're able to watch things and react really quick.
Yeah.
Where they can stop the person and either with combination of cameras, something there that can automatically push that button or whatever it is to say there's somebody getting ready to get out, or maybe they have some way of, or maybe even it's the police.
Yeah.
Maybe the police have a station there of some kind. I don't know, but I mean something that reacts quick.
That's a good idea. So we got to go. We're getting close to going. So I want a closing remark from Pastor Eric and a closing remark from Karen on this or anything you want to tell our audience.
You're up, honey.
Oh, well, having gone through this particular experience, it's, and listen, everybody goes through traumatic things once in a while. This was new to me, watching someone actually take their life. And I'm grieving with his family. I feel all of the things with his family and his friends. And I just hope that what we're talking about today ends up being a catalyst to make things happen a little more quickly for the kind of support and protection that we need at the bridge.
I think.
Very nice.
Thank you. I think about this in a theological way. I can't help myself with that. But there's a famous theologian of the 20th century who said, "We're not human beings having a spiritual experience. We're spiritual beings having a human experience."
Yep.
And the value that God, the universe, whatever you want to call the spirit, the force, all of whatever name you want to attach to all that, places immense value on every human life. That's why we're here.
Mhm.
And we need to do that too. That's what
Yeah.
I want to do.
Well, I thought this was great, and we had to do it. We couldn't have two better people than Pastor Eric and Karen. It's the Coronado Community Church. Great, great place. I've been searching for something like that my whole life. One or two quick things, real quick. Karen found an article about the big dump and about the sewage that says 100 million gallons, 100 billion,
Billy.
100 billion, folks, came in 5 years, right?
Right.
That's amazing. So we want to keep you guys up to date a little bit on the sewage every week. The other thing I want to mention is that the Padres were playing today, Brett.
The Dodgers.
So listen, yeah,
The Dodgers,
Padres
right?
and the Dodgers. So I get it's like 110 right on the head. And I say, I want to see if the game's on. So I open up the Union Tribune. It says they're on at 110 on ESPN. So I turn it on right away. I got like the first pitch. So Musgrove is pitching. He can't get the first 4 or 5 guys out. He pitches 24 pitches to take him out of the game. Bottom line, the Padres lost today 14-1. So I don't know, folks. We got to get them better.
So let me
And-
ask you, did that surprise you?
Yeah, it surprised
It
me.
didn't surprise me. The Dodgers
course
probably
it
have one of the
surprised-
best. No, they have
Of
one of the
course it
best
surprised me.
one of the best lineups in Major League Baseball.
Real quick, Brett's running for Republican Central Committee. The election is on March 5th. He is a tremendous candidate. I think he has a great political future ahead of him, right? I mean, he's really good.
So it was
Chula
really,
Vista, folks.
so it was really nice is last night at the event at La Bella's Pizza in Chula Vista, where I grew up. With a lot of people from elementary schools showed up that I hadn't seen in a while. People within the community showed up, and I had Republicans, Democrats, and Independents at that event because they know that I try to work with everybody, but there needs to be a lot of improvements. And one thing we need to improve on is learn how to respect each other again
Yeah.
and be kind and say, well, you don't agree on this, but let's work on these problems together. So I think that's kind of what this seat's going to be for me, is bringing people together.
March 5th. Vote
March
for
5th.
Brett. Vote for Brett. Real quick, if you want to read my book, Directions to a Happy Life, is on Amazon. You can buy it on Amazon. You get it like in a day.
I love that book, Larry.
I know.
It's one of my
I know.
favorite. It's
I
one of
know.
my favorite
It's
books.
great.
And Brett, talk about your training and then give him a closing word.
Do I really have enough time?
Yeah, we got time.
I
Tell
mean,
'em
for
about your
everything that I'm
training.
doing.
And then give them some closing wisdom.
My background, of course, was fitness at one time. It still apparently is. People remember me for that, and they remember me for other things, of course. But there's something about taking somebody that's challenged mentally and physically and finding a way to bring those two things together and help them become stronger and better. So I think that's why people continue to reach out. I've had families where I've trained the great grandmother, the grandmother, the daughter, the daughter's daughter. I've had 4 or 5 generations of family members that I've worked
Oh,
with.
my goodness.
That's how old I'm getting.
Happy trails again till we meet again. Final wisdom for everyone.
Remember, it's not what you say, it's how you say it.
Very good.
Very
Love
nice.
it. Thanks, Pastor Eric.
Sure enough.
Thanks, Karen.
Thank
it was
you.
great.
Thanks for having us.
See you next Thursday, 5 o'clock, Brett and Larry's podcast on IQ Podcast.